Hey team, it's Dr. George here, and I wanted to make a quick video to talk about a topic that has come up quite a bit today in my practice, and that is about sex and sexuality at this current time and the wonderful COVID virus. I know, right? The last thing you want to hear is some freaking doctor to come in and talk about this horrible virus and sex, because let's face it, men who have sex with men, we've been there, we've done that. But I want to tell you that this is an important message and it's different message. COVID is extremely different to the HIV that we experienced years ago. And this is an important conversation that we need to have, because you can't put the mindset of HIV prevention necessarily easily onto COVID. So we know how COVID is transmitted, and that is through an infected person. They can express the virus through breathing, through coughing, through spluttering. We know that people who are well, that 50% of the transmissions are happening in people who have no symptoms at all. So people can be well and also transmitting the virus. That's more likely to be happening in a person who is young. So what does this mean for sex? Well, we have been talking a lot about social distancing, right? Keeping 1.5 to 2 meters away from people in social settings. Unless you have the world's largest penis, it's really difficult to maintain that distance when you're practicing sex. So there is an inherent risk with sex, in as much that if we're getting in close and intimate with people, we're going to be sharing a space. There's usually heavy breathing associated with sex, and that can mean that it's a potential transmission point. So maybe we should work our way backwards. If you are currently unwell, if you have a fever, a sore throat, or a cough in the context of international travel or contact with a person who is known to have COVID-19, there is a good chance that you too have COVID-19, and we recommend that you are at home, you are in isolation. If you are having sex with people, there is a very good chance that you will be transmitting that to your sexual partners as well. It's a very easy virus to share. Whether you use condoms or not, you can't use condoms on your breathing. So that's an extreme case. But I suppose the question is, could sex be leading to transmissions of COVID amongst our peers? And the answer is yes, it absolutely can. How can we minimize that risk? Well, we can look at alternative ways of having sex that don't necessarily mean that people are in the same space at the same time. So we're talking cyber, we're talking phone, we're talking text, we're talking exchanging photos, all sorts of stuff. Now, be careful when you're exchanging photos. Be careful if you're exchanging videos, that you know and trust the person that you're exchanging these things with, because sometimes there can be, not everything disappears off the internet. Very little disappears off the internet. So don't be transmitting anything that you don't want to possibly be passed on to other people. So keep that in mind. I know this is terrible, isn't it? Because I sound really, really dire, but I want to be honest and I want to be open with you. Now, there has been a lot of postulation about having a small group of people. And look, certainly having a small group of fuck buddies is better than having a large group of fuck buddies, because I'd rather, if 4 people get sick, it's potentially better than 20 people getting sick. But the idea of monogamy in the COVID sort of era doesn't really work, because the monogamy is broken the minute that somebody goes outside to buy a bottle of milk. It's like the virus is so easily transmitted that just living life, catching trains, just, somebody coughs in the wrong direction, or you touch the wrong surface before you wash your hands, and there is a chance that that person could be infected. And if you have your fuck buddies, then pass. So It's a really, really tough choice, and we are going to have to be adult about this one, and you will make a decision what works best for you. If you've got a regular partner and you're living in the same space in the same house, that's probably the best option available. If you have a regular fuck buddy but you're living in separate things, that's a good option. But you have to be aware that when you're coming together, that you're coming together as two people who have spent time in different spaces, and there's a chance that either could be exposed. If you go to a venue where a large group of people are all together in a tight space, there is a very good chance of transmission. And we know that the transmission is simple. 15 minutes of face-to-face contact is enough to transmit the virus. 2 hours in the same room is enough to transmit the virus. That's the kind of level of ease that this particular virus has. Compared to HIV, this one's much, 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 much easier to transmit. I really, really wish I could give a simple answer, but there aren't simple answers, and we all have to make a decision about what level of risk is appropriate for us and what we're willing to do. So look, the main messaging I can give you is that have a think about what you are willing to take on board when it comes to risk and sex. And it may be worthwhile just having a small group of people. That's slightly better than it's a lot better than a large group of people. Damn, it's a really tough message. But in these times, we have to have these conversations. I hope that this was helpful, and if anything, I hope it prompts some conversation about what your thoughts are, and have a talk with your fuck buddies. Do you have a plan if somebody starts to get unwell? Will you all have conversations around that? Will you all go into isolation as a prevention tool? These are the things that are going to be important. So keep on talking to each other. Keep on having these conversations. Keep the channels open, because this is the most important thing. Hiding away, ignoring it, isn't going to make it any better. We need to be very clear and open with our sexual partners, and now is the time to be really practicing that skill. I hope that was helpful.